Hello, I'm Danny, and this is my podcast, Under the Sun. Now, I must say, I feel a little self conscious about doing this because, well, first of all, I think I'm a little late to the podcast party. Like, I think everyone has one or everyone has thought about creating one. So much so that this has lost some of its meaning. Anyone can have a mic now and say whatever they want. This has become a media and a platform for movements like the Manosphere and White Men with Opinions and White Women. And shows like the Joe Rogan Experience quietly spread xenophobia and misogyny. So I feel a little weird about coming out with my own idea of a podcast. I also feel self conscious because I wonder who is going to hear this and why. Why should anyone be interested? This media has become a platform for people that think everyone should hear what they have to say. And I am very arrogant. I think everyone deserves to hear what I have to say. But why? What makes me relevant? And what separates me from a bro with a mic? That has me very conflicted, and it is something that I will try to answer throughout whatever this series will be. I am very critical of podcasts. So, why make a podcast? Well, it's been a difficult year. For the world, it's been a difficult year. We are at a point in time where it feels like all evil keeps winning. There are about 3 wars going on right now, a genocide, and in this country, it feels like we're waist deep into fascism. The future looks grim. Personally, it's been a terrible year. If the future looks grim for the average white person, for this Mexican, the world looks like it's going to end tomorrow. Now, this city, Chicago, my safe haven, filled me with dreams as I was growing up. I thought I'd be free to do anything. And so, to my mom's delight, I went to get a college degree in comedy writing and performing. And then along the way, I discovered that I am a stage manager. By accident, I discovered I am a better producer than I am a performer. So I planned my life around that. By now, I was supposed to have my own studio apartment with my 3 kitties, stage managing at Second City or The Goodman or anyone that would take me. I really thought I'd be able to do anything. And then Trump got elected. Again. A week into his inauguration, my family and I sat down at the dinner table and we said, "This is too dangerous. We should leave." And so we decided to move to Mexico. And there goes my dream down the drain. The morale is low. My mental decline since January has been sharp. I feel angry all of the time. All of the time, I feel angry. I don't get to do what I want. I don't get to be who I want to be. What I worked so hard for. And I think a lot of people feel like that these days. It's been a difficult year. And sometimes you have to pivot because when you're this color, you don't get to do what you want. You get to do what you can. All year long, I've been focused on working. I've had 2 jobs on and off, and I've worked as many hours as I can to save money for this Mexico thing. I don't have the time to try to produce anything in a theater anymore. There is this gap that has been growing between me and anything art related that's been happening that has me even more sad. This podcast, Under the Sun, is my attempt at putting a band aid on that grief, on the feeling of emptiness. It's called Under the Sun because that is where we all live. No one can kick me out of here. No one can kick me out of under the sun. I am entitled to my space here. So I want to talk about communication. I personally struggle a lot with communication. It's hard for me to get my thoughts across. I think the world struggles with communication. As a society, we don't know how to communicate, and that is dividing us. As a society, we are divided in the basis of gender, race, religion. Even within communities, we are divided. And the side effect of that division is xenophobia, misogyny, and just rampant hatred. We must learn to communicate. To end this division, man versus woman, white versus black, and anybody that is not white, how can I demand that we communicate when even I don't know how to communicate? Every time I see someone that I know in public, I either run away, I hide, or I pretend I don't know them, as long as I can avoid the interaction. I hate small talk. It's very hard for me to just get out of my shell. I find myself wanting to learn to communicate. Actually, a lot of people don't know this about me, but I like to talk a lot. So here's a story on communication. I was born in Mexico, where I grew up. I was a very charismatic and confident child, the youngest one, everyone's favorite. I went to school in Mexico till third grade. I learned to read and write in Spanish. And then, in 2007, I moved to Chicago at the age of 9. It was quite a culture shock. I was left to learn a new language and a new system of communication. Kids in the US don't communicate the same way that kids in Mexico do. For example, kids in the US sit on their knees. I don't understand how that is possible. I am unable to sit on my knees. Kids in Mexico sit on their butt with their legs crossed, like normal people. Also, kids in the US start counting with their thumbs. So they go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But I can't do that. Kids in Mexico start counting with their index finger. So you go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like that. Like a normal person. It was hard to adapt to a new culture and language. Over the years, my charisma did not drop one single bit, but my confidence did. I became self-aware and scared of saying something wrong. So I shut myself away from social interactions. And around this time, my mom installed internet in the house to keep us entertained while she was at work. I started watching TV shows and movies that I would find in very questionable websites on the internet. The first thing that I watched was How I Met Your Mother, because back then, that was big. How I Met Your Mother was at its peak in 2009. I had my Disney Channel era. I was a child. Hannah Montana, The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Phineas and Ferb. Then I watched this movie called Center Stage, and I fell in love. I was gonna be a ballet dancer for a while. After Center Stage, I watched a lot of rom-coms. About Time, Silver Linings Playbook, Crazy Stupid Love. Then I liked more indie movies. Lady Bird, In Your Eyes, Begin Again. And this is how I learned to be a white girl. My guilty pleasure has always been action movies. I love Top Gun Maverick. I've seen it 3 times in the movie theaters. I've seen most of the James Bond movies, and also one of my favorites is Knives Out. Then around 2018, I became angry with the gringos. I discovered I no longer wanted to be a white girl. So I started watching Bollywood. But Bollywood is a story of its own. Now, around 2015, in between movies, I saw a clip from Seth Meyers about Trump's first campaign for president. I loved his style. That led me to want to become a comedian. And he's pretty boring now. Well, late night is pretty boring now. Politics became repetitive and predictable, and so did late night. But back then, I loved it. Seth Meyers was my intro to SNL, The Daily Show, Colbert, John Oliver. I wanted to be a stand up and speak out against injustice. I was arrogant. I was naive. I was going to save the world. I was so stupid. For the longest, I thought the way people communicated in movies and in TV is how people talk in real life. And that is not the case. I never really learned how to communicate in real life. And that's why I run away from social interactions. Today, 18 years later, after moving to Chicago, many movies watched, 80% English and 90% Spanish. And all the dreams I built, all I have left is whatever this podcast is going to be. I want it to be my space to tell stories, a way to get out of my shell and get people to know me better, my contribution at communicating. I am brown looking, and many times people like me don't get the opportunity to share their stories. That is why the media gets to label us with stereotypes, and most of the time we don't have the space to defend ourselves or tell our side of the story. I want this to be my space to tell my side of the story. I can't speak for everyone out there, but at least I can speak for myself and from my point of view. So here is my pitch for anyone that wants to listen. I want this podcast to be funny, candid, bold. I want this to be my stand-up show, my TED Talk, and my soapbox. I want this to be a reflection of who I am as a person, for better or for worse. Now, this talk is on a personal level. I won't offer a solution on the problems of the world, but I can offer my take on what bothers me and what I like. We will not talk about what you like. We will talk about what I like. For now, it would just be me, because I am a solo act. I've always been a solo act. And you can listen if you want. And if you choose not to listen, well, then this can be my personal diary that I make public for some reason. And if you do choose to listen, this can be tea. Are you wary of your thoughts and your concerns? Well, leave them behind and step into my thoughts and my concerns. Welcome in, sit down. Listen to what this hybrid of a Mexican and an American, but more Mexican and way cooler than any American, has to say. And if it's boring, let it put you to sleep. Why not? I promise I'll try to make it as entertaining as I can. I am not prepared for a conversation that lasts more than 5 minutes, but at least I can try to talk for 20 about any given subject. For your amusement, we all win.